Greetings, all of my YouTube friends. And in this video, I would like to put forward a couple of ideas on how to save Star Trek. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because Skydance is purchasing Paramount, which owns the IP of Star Trek. But there are a couple of hurdles that I will cover just slightly. If you want to know more on the subject, I do recommend you watch Trek's YouTube channel because he's done a lot of research on the subject. But I'm just going to skim through. Basically, Paramount owns the IP for Star Trek. They lease that out to Secret Hideout, which is Alex Kurtzman's company. They in turn produce Star Trek shows, and then Paramount rebuys the episodes and the shows and distributes them. Now, I don't know which executive thought that this was a good idea, and I really hope that they were fired for this. Because essentially, you're making something super complicated out of something that was super simple. And the reason why they did this is because apparently Paramount did not know what to do with Star Trek. Imagine that. Now the problem is that even though Skydance is buying Paramount, Star Trek's is still being leased under contract to the Alex Kurtzmans and Secret Hideout, and that contract is not over. So Skydance, even though they're buying it, they still have to respect the contracts that are in place, otherwise they have to pay penalties. Hence why I wanted to make this video, hoping to give Skydance a couple of avenues. I know they're not going to listen to my little channel, but maybe one of the viewers will pick up the idea and have the connections to get it through. So let's get to it, folks. We are talking about millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in penalty fees. And I would say to Skydance, get rid of Secret Hideout, get rid of Alex Kurtzman, and pay those penalties. Because essentially they have destroyed the branding. And I think the reason why he did this is because if you run it into the ground, it becomes a lot cheaper, and then his company can even outright buy the rights to Star Trek. So the sooner you get rid of him, the sooner you have a chance of rebuilding the brand and getting back all these fans that have left. And there are a lot of us. Star Trek is a billion-dollar franchise, and its revenues go into the billions. Hence why I say just pay the hundreds of millions. Even if you have to pay out 1 billion, in the long run, you're still gonna be ahead. Once that's done, Skydance might be, okay, what now? What do we do with this franchise? I don't know the reason why they bought Paramount in the first place. But if it's to make money, there's only one real way of doing it, especially with the Star Trek franchise, is create a show for the fans. And I would even go as far as to say create 2 shows. But in order to do this, you need to find 2 producers that truly care about Gene Roddenberry's vision of Star Trek and want to be as true to his original work. People like Rick Berman. He might not be available, but try to find somebody like him. And also somebody like Michael Piller, who likes to create good original stories, but also specifically for character development, character arcs. Take our characters through a transformation journey. Have them work as a team. Have them build relationships. Have them go through hardships. Have them create an overall bond. And a world that is not always rosy. But that's what made Gene Roddenberry's vision so good. Gene understood the reality of the world that we lived in, but he also saw what humans are capable of. And currently, we are so divided in polar opposites. A show like Star Trek can really bring everybody back together. We may not always agree with one another, but we are moving forward in a positive direction. And here is probably where I'm going to pitch my two ideas for shows. A lot of old-timer fans, such as myself, are really interested in the Lost Era. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially the era between Kirk and Captain Picard. We grew up with the Reliant and the Constitution class and the Constellation class and the Excelsior of ships. We'd like to see more of these on screen. And to do that, I think that there should be a show called Star Trek Stargazer. And I know what a lot of people will say. Doing prequels with a known captain is not a good idea because you never get the sense that he is in danger. And to a certain degree, I would agree. The thing is that those years were very important to Picard. I mean, first of all, he was serving under his captain and first officer, and they both got killed. He had to take over command temporarily to save the rest of the crew, and he did such a good job that he earned the captaincy for the Stargazer. Throughout those years, he had an incredible friendship with Jack, and then on an away mission, Jack dies, and it affected Picard so much because of his relationship with Jack, with Beverly, and Beverly being pregnant with Wesley. So thinking that everything is safe is not true. And I would say you can even compare it with The Walking Dead. I mean, if you've read the graphic novels, then you already know what's going to go on. Nonetheless, it was a very popular show on TV for 5 years. Problem is, it probably overstayed its welcome, but it's still a very popular show bringing in a lot of money. So seeing the struggles of the crew, make it about the crew of the Stargazer, have them go through hardships, and the viewers are used to losing cast members along the way. There's already a blueprint that you can easily cover 5 seasons. So find somebody that cares about the storytelling, that wants to shed a positive light out of really bad situations, and follow the lore as much as possible. Do take some creativities. Find somebody like Terry Matalas, and if Terry's not available, ask him who he thinks could carry this show. And as your lead actor, find somebody like Will Poulter, who has that Kirk smile, but is also an established actor. Unfortunately, I don't think that Will would, commit to a television series for 5, 6, 7 years. But try to find somebody with his pedigree. Try to push out 20 shows a season. And unfortunately, nowadays, I would say come out with a season every year. But it seems like everybody likes to take a 2-year break in between, which brings me to the next idea for a series, which is what a lot of people are looking forward to, is Star Trek Legacy. And the idea behind that show is to have Seven of Nine as the captain of the Enterprise. We do need another Enterprise main ship focus show. And this show would have a lot of liberties going forward. You can pretty much approach everything and anything. I do have like a divergence of opinion here. You can either go in the after Picard era with Seven of Nine, which a lot of people would like to see on screen. Therefore, if people want to see it, if fans want that, give it to them. Otherwise, you can also go into a lot more in the future. What happens, after the Federation won the war against the Borg? Let's seek out who created the Borg, who modified Voyager, V'ger. Go and explore these themes. And again, make that a 20 episodes per season. Let us have something every week to look forward to and to grow with these characters, to care about them. And if you need 2 years breaks in between this, so between these two shows, Stargazer 1 year, Legacy another year, go back to Stargazer, go back to Legacy, with 20 episodes a year, half the year we are talking about Star Trek around the water cooler. And if you follow these simple, easy to follow instructions, you're going to bring the Star Trek franchise into the billion-dollar, multi-billion, trillion-dollar franchise that everybody knows it could be. Stick to a budget of 100 million per season per show. I mean, look at the original series, look at the Next Generation. Shows that cost $1 million to do. Pay the actors, pay the sets, have a little bit of space CGI, but you don't need too much because your main focus is the characters. Put on screen people that we can relate to, grow up with, share their ups and downs, and sail into the sunset together. Now, I don't know if any of what I've been saying makes any sense. Hopefully, you, the viewers, will let me know in the comments down below your ideas and your comments. And hopefully, I'll see you in the next video.